Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John. This report is for the 28th of February, ending the month, well, on a strong note here. This is what we would call a delta V reversal, where you're in a decline like that. You make a new low, finish up towards at least the top third of the candle. In this case, we made a new high within there, and then it proceeds to take out the previous dip bar. So it's just this quick V. Clean though from our standpoint, because we expected that when the low was broken here that we would want to push back up to it, and that actually caught some more action to the upside. And from there, there was just a lot of buyers. And clean off that gives it the effect of a double bottom. When you look at it from the body standpoint versus just that wick move, which was mostly pre-market setup anyway. In fact, the dip that did take place was also pre-market construct coming back to retest that low and caught plenty of action. So orange, in this case, magenta MBI had already crossed above yellow. So we were already looking for some kind of positive reaction from that, and then this follow through on that. It's just solid continuation. We wanted that orange to dip back down on the DOC below 7.5. Did that very early on, and short-term buyers continued to rise. As well as midterm with the green here. So those are all positive elements within it. On Delta V reversal like this, I would think the 50% is going to be a real interesting location if able to get there, because oftentimes these will go for 2 to 3 bars and then start to fade from there. And if what we'll find out is if it's a real short covering, we'll probably start to see some pullback within it, because that would be an indication that it's not just full-on buying. If we see a continuation strong on Monday, then pretty good idea that we will at least test, if not break above that 50% level, and go from there. We'll be able to see what new readings are produced from that. From an NQ standpoint, similar kind of effect, except for this was already a bit weaker, and it's even weaker on this return setup here. Weight still leading that move, but again, anytime you have that magenta moving above on a daily event, that's pretty positive, and that's where I always think key looking for that dip of orange, because it always gives that spike move. So pivot back up of orange, or failing of the steel short-term buyers and that, would certainly create some problems. That this hasn't moved as far, still equivalent for the same delta V effect, but S&P certainly outperforming. From bond issue, again, we expect these lows to be taken out, as the realization that the current conflict as it is right now in Europe isn't going to cause the Fed to slow down, because all the numbers they're getting are that inflation is literally out of control. They do not have a handle on it at all. Gold pulling back just from that extreme, and we talked about the positive extremes that had existed to go all the way back to well, in this case on GLD, the 173. People consider that shocking, because gold should just rise without stoppage, according to gold bulls, but it never works out that way. And from a euro, cut some strength coming back, just because of the extreme reaction and the fact that there may be stability and peace talks, or at least a cessation. But if battle continues to rage, I think that the euro is going to continue to suffer, because the real question is going to become how much of these sanctions are really going to start to damage European, at least NATO countries, which is mostly the EU. And if that's the case, then it's going to be even more problematic for an already problematic EU setup. And oil still maintaining up at its highs, and up from the peak of the start of the conflict there. But the longer it's protracted, the more potential for danger, especially to the pipelines, things like that, and that just causes more turmoil. Bitcoin bought back all of its dip move from that, so that was just pushed down and beautifully right to that 34 resistance, and then stopping again right at the 39. So tight in that range. Just a matter of following those turnaround moves and going with it. Clean and simple. And so was the 50K, because as it sold out there, the turnaround was just the magenta popping back up. So defensively, did the correct thing, but literally could have turned around and just bought that on the move back up above the magenta, and it's carried through quite nicely. So those were very reasonable entry points. From a 5K standpoint, so this was the early market dip that immediately caught a pretty strong bid, came back, tested it a little bit, but kept popping back above each time it was going, and the rallies off that were pretty strong. And all the retraces were just to fill the earliest part of the positive extremes, nothing even remotely close to a deep pullback, and then we started that wave of constantly just pushing higher and higher, and it was pretty darn consistent. No real issues with that. I mean, the breakdowns that did take place were legitimate within those setups, but they immediately turned around. So it was one of those where you just, again, you have to follow what it does and maintain that flexibility to be able to keep going with it. I know, it's just like on a down day when, the market's down, 80, 90 points, and you're like, oh, do I dare short? And that's the same thing when the market's up 50, 60 points. It can just as easily go up plus, in this case, 98. And that's exactly what it did. Caught a little bit of fill back, which actually pretty healthy given the amount of move that took place. And then all the way to the close, just riding, and even now, post-market, still doing more of the same. So, the volatility is spectacular. It's just a matter of following along with what the pink bar has given us, and that keeps it real easy. Of course, updates to indicators now will be going out this weekend, and we'll be all set for start of new month on Tuesday. As always, though, I will update you on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.